So I want to preface with, I have this list of questions, but I want to make sure you guys know this is open to the audience. So butt in, pipe up, whatever questions you have for Yubi. I just want it to be laid back, and I want you guys to ask as many questions as you guys have. But I'm going to start off with a more general question for you. So your exhibition, Secret Underwater Gardens, draws heavily from the concept of unconscious and themes like vulnerability, inner child, and emotional growth. Can you talk a little bit more about what the underwater garden represents to you personally?
Oh, okay. That's so weird. That's so small.
I
know. Okay. My thesis last year when I graduated was all about unconscious. And my favorite Disney princess was always Mermaid, The Little Mermaid. And since I moved to Atlanta, it's only been 2 years, I always visited aquarium to see the belugas. And I think after I graduated, I didn't know I was going to have another solo show, but I knew there was some connection to the unconscious and the underwater, because the underwater ecosystem is very deep and we don't even know what's there yet, the whole land there. And I think it's a great metaphor to my unconscious, because every time I think about my conscious or when I meditate, when I create, it's always growing something new, but it's still vast. It's dark sometimes. Yeah. So that's why I knew when I was writing the proposal for this collection, I wanted to be underwaters, the palette too, and some little fishies you might find here and there. So the underwater gardens for me, it's where my inner child resides, where I'm an adult, but I think we're always a child where we want to cry. We want to be kind of cheesy and create. It's where she resides, and also where things grow, because it's a garden underwater. Yeah.
Anyone have any questions for you? So I also want to ask, you said The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett, right? Was an influence for you. How does the abandoned garden in that story resonate with the themes of like the sadness and neglect in your work, or just overall, how did that influence your work?
I saw the movie Flying to Seattle in September, right before I applied for the proposal here. And Mary, the girl of the story, she has nothing. She has no parents, and she's never cried before, even though she lost her parents with disease. But she just gets seeds and goes to the abandoned land where there's nothing growing, and she grows a garden. And after the owner, the father of the garden, and the son comes back to the garden, they laugh again and they create new connection by the new garden. And I realized, even though Mary didn't have anything but like oppressed sadness and emptiness, she had power to grow something. And for me, not just me, but I think sadness is something that I try to avoid and think it's not powerful, because it makes us feel down and feels like I'm going to die if I cry out. But I realize there's power of growth when I encounter it or try to, seed it and see what it does. And that's why that movie I knew, okay, I need to read this again and see if it's going to be part of my proposal. And it did. Yeah.
I need to watch it. Has anyone else seen it or read it?
The movie's really good. Yeah, it's a very old movie. Yeah.
So you also mentioned that Carl Jung's exploration of the unconscious is another significant influence. So how do you interpret his ideas through the lens of your work, especially in terms of healing and transformation?
I wrote a 40-page thesis last year, so I'm going to try to summarize. Carl Jung's, my favorite statement of Carl Jung is that when we encounter our shadows, we become more whole. We are happy and we are joyful and we have our strengths. But he says when we encounter our darkest points or the things that the society says you shouldn't bring it out, we need to know the shadow of ourselves to become more Yubi and to become more Savannah. Because if we just have the light, light can't exist with shadow. Shadow can't exist with light. And he called it, when that person becomes more whole, individualization. You become more yourself. So that was one of my favorite statements that nobody had but him. And I really try to portray in my work. My works might look like Monet. I used to love Monet, Van Gogh, because I started as the Impressionist fan, but I want my works to have that individuality of Yubi, not just because it's pretty and fragile or feminine, but because you can tell that I try to encounter my shadows and it's whole. Because even the strengths that I have, it's nothing that nobody has, but even the shadows that I have, it's nothing compared to what you have or you have experienced. Yeah. Is that really hard? Am I explaining it, Yubi?
Oh, yes. Yes. Great.
I was reading like his books, like heavy text. Okay.
Any questions? Don't be scared to chime in. Anyone has
Where did
any?
you get your degree in what?
I graduated SCAD last year in MFA of painting. Yeah, MFA painting. Yes, yep, right here. Yeah, last June. Fresh.
Yeah, you should go. You should go more into your background, like how
Oh,
you
yeah.
got into
Okay.
art and where you went to school.
Yeah. I'm Korean, full Korean, but I moved to Oklahoma when I was 16, 2008, 2009, because my parents started a business there. I was actually a pre-vet major. I wanted to be an animal doctor. I didn't want to, but my parents did, and I had pretty good grades. But I always drew when I was young, and I switched my majors like 3 times, and then I finally graduated in fine arts with my bachelor degree in Oklahoma. But back then, I was really into photography because I loved meeting people, and photography was another art form that I was expressing. So, but I loved clothes, as you can tell, and I was looking for a degree of fashion photography and master's. But back then, the only place that they offered was in New York, France, and London. New York was very expensive, and I didn't speak French, so I went to London College of Fashion for my master's in fashion photography. And then after that was COVID, and I did work with designers and fashion designers in London. But soon as my work was published in a magazine, I was like, this is not what I wanted. Yeah, I wanted my work to be hung on the wall, and I wanted something that's not mass produced, but also texture. I wanted tangibility and physicality. But I love photography still, but it didn't feel my needs. So after COVID, I applied to SCAD, and actually went into SCAD as a photo major. Because the portfolio I had back then was all photos. But I started to print my photographs on watercolor paper. That's what you see here in the figures. And I started to do watercolor. And my painting professor was like, maybe you switch majors. Why are you in photography? But in SCAD grad school, you have to reapply. You can't just write down and transfer. That means you have to get admitted again and create a new portfolio, and you need a recommendation. So I really thought hard that summer, but I decided yes, and I got in, and I survived. Yeah, so that's my background, and you see it all here. There's always, you don't really evidently see on the surface of the works, but there's always photo collage underneath, because that's what I'm comfortable of. Like I rip off photographs and I stick it on, or fabric, which I'm comfortable too. Yeah, so that's my background. Very multi-medium. Yeah.
So when did the like dried flowers come into play?
Yeah.
Was that like once you started switch your major? Is that when you started incorporating the dried flowers, or did those come over time?
I remember. Yeah, the dried flowers, that's really evident here. They did come late. because even though they were always in my studio, I just thought that's the worst thing you can ever use on a painting where it could be sold and transported. Uh, so it was the last thing that I ever chose to put it on. But pressed flowers, I think I already had it when I started the watercolor series. Like just print it on watercolor paper and do watercolor. And then I used to just put pressed flowers because they were smaller and they were easy to get pressed small. But I decided to incorporate the dried flowers that's really bulky and big because it was always in my studio and my mother always dried roses and I had to symbolize her love. Yeah. And I thought, if it breaks, I guess I have a lot left in my studio. I can stick it back for you. And I'm glad I did it because installing this show, I realized it's powerful. The flowers that I actually brought from my space. Some of them that you see, like the pink bouquets here, they're from a French boutique here in Midtown that I actually got because I couldn't get those flowers. But rest of them, I wanted to bring the time from my life to here because it took me time to dry these, and it wears not only time but temperature of me, the smell of me, and that's why I was like, okay, maybe I'll try some of them and see if they like it. But I loved it first, so I said I'll just start to use it more and see where it goes. Yeah.
Any questions? So I want to know, how did your upbringing and cultural background influence your approach to art? And are there particular aspects of your heritage that you feel deeply connected in your practice? Like as a Korean artist, do you see your work as like a bridge between culture experiences and like how you connect with others through that? I want to know your thoughts on it.
It's a very good question. Korean heritage, to be honest, I think I used to feel ashamed that I'm a minority because I grew up in states. It wasn't my choice to immigrate here. It was my parents. And I used to feel ashamed because I don't look like the people that I went to school with in high school, or I don't dress like them. But I really appreciated the experience of growing up in Europe and here because I see people that don't look like me and they don't speak like me. And rather than, oh, I'm so different, because of you guys different, I realized how unique I am. I have, let's say, small body, but this person is like so tall and well shaped body. Realize, oh, I have this kind of physique. Oh, I have brown eyes. Oh, she has blue eyes. Oh, maybe my eyes are unique. Oh, she speaks English. I speak Korean. Oh, how unique my language is. So, especially the experience in London, because London is like the most international city, I realized, oh, what I have is so special and so unique. And not only because I'm different, it's because I didn't choose to be born with it. I was granted with it. I didn't choose to be Korean. I didn't choose to be a woman. I was born with it, and I thought that's such a gift. And that's when I realized I should incorporate it. Well, to begin with, when I incorporated some Korean elements, I was kind of exaggerating it. And I remember one student in my photo class said, "Your photos look so Korean." And I was so offended. I should have been like, "Yeah, I'm Korean," but I was like, "Oh, how can you?" So I realized, of course, I'm Korean, so my works will look Korean, but I realized the culture is part of Yubi. But I think I used to see somebody, oh, she's American, she's Indian, she's Japanese. But I realized that goes under who I am. Like Yubi is the whole planet, and under that, I'm Korean. I used to live in Europe, or I speak Japanese. I love curry. And I think when I realized that fact, I was able to connect to people more, especially Atlanta. I think it's very international. And people are able to connect through that. Oh, yeah, you're from that culture, but I don't define myself because of that culture. It's just part of me. And just like that, it's not evidently Korean, but it's still there. Yeah, and it's important. It's important because I grew up in a cultural Korean, very culture Korean conservative family. Yeah, it's very important.
Does anyone else have like similar experiences, or does like a piece of Yubi's resonate with you in any way?
I mean, yeah, I used to be raised all around Atlanta. I was born and raised here. Out growing up over in like Clarkston, and that's like one of the most diverse places in southern region or wherever. And yeah, growing up with like Ethiopian family friends or like Chinese, Korean. So yeah, a lot of that put a big impact on how I see the world. Yeah.
How does your parents feel about you being
Yeah. They did not support me mentally. They did support me financially. Like they were like, "Scat, you're going to go to another art school. This is your last school." They did not support me mentally until I told them I sold my first work. I had to show them the numbers. And I still remember my mom was like, "Oh, that went to France? They're crazy. Why would they buy that for that price?" Yeah. And it's in France now, and it's like 6 feet tall. It's a large piece. Yeah, he knows. And he helped me ship that out. So yeah, so it took a while to prove them. I knew it was going to take a really, really long time to prove them, but it took me shorter than I thought. I think because I didn't know it was going to be sold that quick. And my mom, they're not from any creative background. And they're very fast in numbers, not visually appealing senses. And my mom doesn't express much, but she's like, oh, "Okay, you need this for the market? Go and get it, buy it." Or, "Do you need this space? Do I need to contact them?" Or she's the provider for my hanboks. I design my dresses, and she goes to Korea a lot, so she contacts the marketplace or the designer lady and gets them for me. And my dad did like became a different person because he was at my markets, the art markets that I've been at Chastain or Piedmont. And the first market, he helped me out, all the tent stuff. It's a lot of work. And he helped me and he saw me be there for 2 days. And after that 2 days, he said or texted, "I think you are meant to be an artist. Because I saw you talking to people, not sitting down for like 6 hours. I didn't even go to the bathroom. I ate because their crepes are really good. But he saw me and he saw how people are reacting to me in that little 10 by 10 booth. But he said, "I think you met your dream job. I can tell you love it." And since then, he's been my market guy. And he delivers artwork when I'm not here. So it took a journey, and to be honest, it was the biggest burden because I'm the only child, and I knew I was going to be a doctor, but I went through a different way. But it took a while, but now the reward came after I let go of it. Yeah, if I was waiting for it, "Mom, when are you gonna say I did good job? Dad, when are you gonna say you're proud of me?" I let go of that in a certain point when I was so satisfied with myself and my work. It came. Yeah, so I'm happy it did. Yeah, because I thought it was gonna take forever. Yeah, yeah. I can say, yeah, I do get a lot of support, but that's my goal too, to go long run to fully support myself as an artist. Yeah. I just started, so hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, maybe talk about like your day to day as a full time artist and like
Yeah.
show your artwork.
So this whole collection took me about 3 months. Most of the works are all new, except for some of the few works here that's from my last thesis show. I am a very planned person. I don't look like it. I look very spontaneous, but I'm very, very planned. Not because my personality, but I became like that because I wanted to create such good works. Yeah, routine is not just for grown-ups or who goes to 9 to 5. It's needed when I want to be in the best mental condition to create good works. So I usually wake up. I'm gonna give you the ideal day. It doesn't really work all day, but usually wake up 6 to 7. I work out max 2 hours. Because I need to wake up. I don't want to be like, because I sleep a lot and I can sleep long time. And if I need to wake up, I need to work out. I work out. I have a long breakfast. That's my morning. And I pray or read the Bible. And then I jump into work. And I only work during daylight. Because I think daylight makes me awakened. And I think humans are created like that. Like wake up during the day. When the sun goes down, go to sleep. So that's my everyday routine. It's very simple, but it's so hard to keep. Yeah. But I realized because I want to create and because I call myself as an artist, I realized I became so healthy. Yeah. So if I need to have good sleep, I need to be in an empty stomach. That means I need to eat early, not at 10 p.m. because I go to bed at 10. So I eat very early, I eat healthy, and I need to work out. So it became like a loop because I was thinking, how can I be in the best condition to create? How can I extend my time of creating? Maybe I need to be less on the phone yeah. And that became my routine. And what I just told you, it's been my everyday for the past 3 months. And it's nothing exciting, but
You're super disciplined.
I try to. Yeah.
So when you say you work out and then do the morning and then you create, are you just working on your artwork or how do you manage all the other things like marketing, sending out applications, proposals,
Yeah.
all this other stuff? Do you do that during that creation time or do you separate that?
My screen time is usually in the mornings when my eyes are not tired yet, or it's in the evenings. When I'm occupied a lot that day with works, I would push it out to the evening. And sometimes it takes 2-3 hours to really research what's my gallery next, where am I want to apply for market. But I think the beginning stage was hard because I didn't know where to apply. But as I know where you apply for markets and the galleries that I already know, it kind of became easier. But that's why people work with galleries because they do it for you. But right now, I do try to divide the time, and usually it's really important because I'm really sensitive with eyes. If I have my screen time today, I don't have my screen time tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm gonna work, and I'm gonna look at real things, not on screen. I'm very disciplined in that. Yeah. Because if your eyes are tired, you don't want to work. No.
That's what I'm struggling with.
Because you're looking a lot of. And usually mornings, if I put that time in the morning when my eyes are freshest, I could work faster and get it done. Like done, screen time done, and I'll paint. Yeah. Yeah. Very good question. Yeah.
These kind of like regimens you put for yourself. Do you have like a recipe for yourself?
Recipe.
Where you hide it or document it? Oh, at this moment, I was at all time high or at all time low when I was trying to do this same segment that I'm used to. Does it change? How you look at something?
In terms of my works?
In terms of your work, each year, just like maybe you mentioned you did this last year.
Yep.
Did you ever notice like or some kind of pattern for yourself?
Well, in terms of the mediums that I use, they are so far very repetitive. Or to be honest, last year I had way more mediums that I was exploring. These were actually shrunk to the ones that I actually chose that it still works with me. But in terms of style and theme, I think I don't know how it is right now, but my aim is to go deeper. Like last year it was unconscious. This year it's sadness and unconscious. Maybe next year happiness unconscious. We don't know. Or just the figures in unconscious. So my aim is to, and I think I did that this year. Last year it was everywhere in unconscious. But this year I knew I need to go a little bit step deeper. Because when the topic is deeper, I think the works reveal a deeper level. Because you're honing down and you're focusing more on one thing. But that's what I realized after the whole collection it was done. I have multiples going. You'll see. So the self-portrait right behind. And then there's another one on there. So if it's similar, they were exact same frames. So I did want them to look or have. I wanted them to have a similar palette, and because they had both of my faces, I wanted to keep the nuance going. And especially all my layers here, the first layers, they are all either collage or fabric. And that's a lot of labor. You rip and paste, rip and paste, rip and paste. It's very more laborsome rather than thinking. That's why I want to do that all at the same time so I can move on to paint to the next one. And not only that, if I look at one work constantly, I get sick of it sometimes. And I think it's kind of like if you look at somebody for a long time, you see their flaws. If I look, because it's usually figure, and I see flaws. Even abstract. Okay, I don't like that yellow, but what am I going to do? Should I move on or should I? And usually, if I don't like that part, and if I keep fixing it, it goes, bad. That's why I have usually 3-4 works at the same time. So if I have a turquoise on the sky, I see another work. Oh, she needs a turquoise. Then I use the leftover paint on there. And I usually have the small works aside to the larger works because the small works are like leftover paint, leftover paper, leftover flowers, and spontaneous. Nothing's planned, they're like the little babies of the larger ones. And it's fun. Because I'm usually at the end of the phase of the larger works, and at the smaller works I feel more, okay, done. Whatever's left. But it looks so great because it's still part of me.
Do you have sometimes a hard time getting back to one when you see their flaws? And you have to stop on it and then you try to...
No. Because I left it at that first glance, I don't like it. When I come back, I actually like that. So I think it's about having to less focus sometimes to have not discipline, but I think resistance. Because I was told in art school, go all out, go to the deepest point of focus and get the best out. But I realized sometimes I need to step back, or sometimes even if I rip this off, even if I want to, maybe stop and see. I think that's harder. Because I can go dive in all day and paint all day and do nothing, but just I need to eat. I need to accept my flaws or somebody else's flaws. It's like same as the works. Yeah.
How do you know when you're finished?
I was telling her too. Usually when I do a piece, I'm going through a phase of time because I write for every piece. And usually a piece, when I started a piece, I had a fight with mom or I talked with somebody and he said something very inspiring that makes me change. And I think about that constantly when I do the piece. And usually when I finish the piece, it's when I have a resolution. Like, oh, I think I can make a change, or no, I'm not gonna take what mom says. I'm gonna do whatever I want, or I feel peace about whatever is going through my life. Not necessarily troubles, but just life and me. Yeah, because I think a lot. I write a lot, so uh, that's the ideal answer. But usually there's deadlines. So according to the deadline, I work really well with deadlines. I like somebody, yeah, get it done. And usually, but it's funny. But I finish the work at the deadline, but the problem is also resolved too. I think I act together. Yeah, okay, this work has to be done, and I think at the same time, okay, I really want a resolution for this trouble in my life. Yeah, or the inner child, whatever. Yeah, yeah,
Can I do a multiple question?
yeah.
So, when you get your inspiration, do you use TikTok? Another one, do you have like a multiple projects at the same time and they want to go to rest? It's abandoned, go to the other one and go to the other one? So, whatever.
Okay, my inspiration for figures, I photograph the figures myself, and there are people that I know. So when I photograph them, I remember like their smile, the sunshine at the park, or what they said, or what they were wearing, and what kind of person they are, the individualization, yeah, of they have. And I try to incorporate that a lot in the figures. Yeah. Uh, that's why I have to photograph them myself, or I use people that I know. But in terms of landscape, it's it is a my underwater garden, but my landscape's usually a reaction to the medium. So this was the first layer on this piece. It's a vintage, you can't see here, but it's a vintage wallpaper. I would put the wallpaper and think, what color would match that? Yeah, it's a reaction. It's an ongoing reaction. Oh, I knew I wanted a brighter level of light on the bottom part, so I chose white fabric. Yep, and I had it stick on there, and I knew I wanted the darkest point on the top. Then I said, okay, I usually use plaster, so I had these plastered stencils on top, and I react to that. Okay, there's a lot of texture there. Where do I want the flowers? I want to go under it. So it's a reaction of materials that I have, because I think the materials that I use, it really represents me, but but the wallpaper, it was my first time using it. So it's like, oh, it's so exciting how I'm going to react. And the color palette, it brings it already. There was beige and white already. That's why I brought in the white fabric. Yeah. So even if you see all the landscapes, there's a motion of like, yeah, usually my landscapes have that because I react to it and I keep going like react, 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 react. There's blue. Oh, I want pink then. Oh, there's dark. I want light then. There's a lot of texture here. Oh, and a little bit of plain on the top. Yeah, so it's a very reactive process and it's so fun. And I think I love that process because unconscious plays. I don't think. Oh, the unconscious, it's instinctual. It's very different from the figures. Yeah.
You have many projects at the same time?
Yes, I just answered that, but I play 3-4 paintings at once. Yeah.
Do you garden?
I live in an apartment. Yeah, so my garden is that flower rack is what I have for my garden. So I either buy flowers regularly or I get gifted. So I hang it like that. Or the flower vases that you see on the wall, I got it for the show, but I thought, oh, now I could use it on my walls because I have no space in my studio to put all these vases. Yeah, so I garden in a smaller way.
I know in the past you said that uh, they have any particular or was it just like
Underwater.
totem? Yeah.
They are beluga whales. Some of them are fishes, and some of them I have blue dragonflies. Anybody found red dragonflies? Yeah, okay, it's very hidden. But belugas, they signify. Well, first of all, I only paint things that I've seen, like in person. Belugas is I've seen them first time in Korea when I went to the aquarium, and I've seen them multiple times here in the Georgia aquarium. And all the memories when I saw belugas, I had my loved ones next to me, like my grandma, my parents, and my best friend. She was here last week, and my friend is here also this week. And I think when I see belugas, not only the time with them, but they look like aliens, and they are very different from dolphins. Dolphins look very sophisticated, smart, sleek. Yeah, the kid in the class. But belugas, they look like they're out of the planet. They don't look, I don't know, either that smart like dolphin. They look more childish to me when I encounter them. And I think they represent my inner child. And they're so free. Yeah. So belugas are like that. And blue dashers, they're blue dragonflies that I actually saw them in France this summer. I went to this river part. I was in Provence, France, a very countryside area. And the person who showed me the river told me the blue dragonflies only live in clean waters. And they were so blue. I've never seen them in life. And I realized that's very me. I live in certain routines and I have to be surrounded with beautiful things and very fragile, and they fly away. Is that kind of like me too? Yeah, maybe. So the blue dragonflies, if you find them, they represent me. Yeah.
So you pull in some of your projects probably young, and I'm just curious, because in art school, I mean, you're all reading Freud, right? So, because young.
My favorite Korean author, she's called Chung Yeol, and I read all her books, and she always mentioned Carl Jung. But I've never read Carl Jung's actual books until I started my thesis. And that's how I started. And I don't know many other psychology historian like him, but I realized his statements are very towards growth and towards a bit hopeful. I don't want to say positive, a bit hopeful. Very different from Freud, because Freud was more like your creativity is all about your sexuality, and it's very connected to your parents. Kind of very, it might make sense a little bit, but a very different direction because they aparted. Jung and Freud aparted because of that. So I decided to stick with Jung, but I have a favorite Korean author she always talked about him. Yeah.
I have a question kind of piggybacking off of that. So the text in your work, I didn't realize until I was watching one of your process videos on Instagram how much text is actually like covering a lot of the pieces until you start layering them. So are those texts significant in any way, or are they random? And I know you said that you write a lot, and there's some handwriting that I see too. So what is your process of picking up text?
Well, writing wise, it's very spontaneous too. For this piece, you can't see it now, but I had a lot of writing on this block and this block. And it's very personal. Like I said, I kept a whole journal for this collection, but I realized whatever I'm thinking right now when I'm painting this, I wanted to be part of it. And as a person who went to school for 10 years, all my 20s, what you read and what you write becomes you. It's so important. Because even though I went to school and I learned, I realized what I read and what I write, it transforms me as a person and impacts the work. That's why I really wanted to keep a journal And I thought the Korean handwriting, it's very unique. And you probably can't read what I wrote, but that's why it's unique. I always write in Korean. That's why. And I think that's why I try to incorporate the text too. You can't really see it here, but I have some ripped scrapbooks of garden books, and there's some text if you can find. And some of them has my journals written in Korean, so that's why I try to. It's kind of like my works are like my visual version of my writings. It's very important to me, and I always keep a book before I go to bed or when I feel stressed. So writing and reading is very important to me. Yeah.
You can never go back to your journal. Sit back in there.
I do. It's actually not that bad when I read it back again. But because most of the titles are, they come from my journal. Because back then I was writing like this much and I know the core vocabulary or the theme of that writing, I name it that piece. And sometimes I remember somebody asked me, what's this about? And I was like, looking at the date and, oh, it was about when blah, blah, blah in my life. Yeah, it's very reflective of my life. Yeah. Some of them I have my journals, but it's very covered a lot. But most of them I would, so like this one, I wasn't typing, I was just journaling on top of it. Yeah. That's why I had a lot of blocks in Korean. Yeah.
I think we should touch base on like the installation part of it, because I know you had like such a specific vision of what you wanted the entire space to look like, and it was really fun to like watch your vision like come to life.
You helped me a lot, yeah.
And I want to know like, how do you see the installation connecting with the rest of the exhibition?
I knew I wanted some kind of real nature in the space. These branches are all brought by me. And I was just talking to my friend today. I think my art or the art that I think is not just visual. I think art and artists should be able to sense something in all the senses. Smell, taste, touch. Yeah. And that's why I had to bring in the trees because there's smell. I had to bring the flowers that smell. I wanted texture because there's touch. But I was kind of worried these might take away the focus on the works, but it's part of it. And like me, I started painting only like painting only like 2 years ago back in SCAD. But I realized as I do more art, I become more sensitive. I become more sensitive of my taste, what I hear. It's bad sometimes, living in a city, but still I become more sensitive seeing something. And I think art is about that, not just what's that in the painting. I think it's about, I'm trying to hear it. I'm trying to touch it. That's why I knew, I was like, can I bring in a tree? Asking her, can I bring in like these flowers on the ground? I'm going to hang like wall vases. Is that okay? So I wanted an immersive experience that inspire you more. Yeah, inspire you more because we're created like that too. And that's art, I think, not just a good visual, pretty work. Yeah, that was my vision. That's why I've stuck all these trees in my car and yeah, to bring it in here. Yeah.
It definitely spilled out because people did see and feel, and they came in who are from the neighborhood. And they were like, whoa, this is definitely different.
Yeah.
And the feel went out, it radiated out because we definitely had more really interested in
what's in there. Yeah.
Different, yes.
Thank you.
Do you make your own?
No, I have it's called Art Solutions Atlanta. I've been working with them since in SCAD. Yeah. But the vintage frames, I get it from Facebook Market, or I have lady in Smyrna. Her attic is full of vintage stuff. She gives them to me. I buy them cheap. Or if you see some podiums down there and the table up front, some glass jars are all from her. She was like, "Go to my garden, take whatever you need, and just bring it back." Yep. She was here last week. Last week? Yeah, with him. Yeah, there she was here to see what I did with her stuff. And she was like, "Oh, you're good. Yep, I approve."
Yeah, it's been cool to see like her come in and then the guy who made this frame. And it feels like very collaborative. Like all these people want to see their stuff and your work combined.
Yeah, this frame, the frame with the arch and that frame, and the 4 panels up front, it was a different frame guy. And I met him at the Korean festival last October. Yeah. And then I gave him a budget. He said, okay. I gave him an inspirational photo. He said, I can do it. So he gave me a whole panel and I worked on that. I gave him the work. He worked around the work, but the 4 panels up front, he gave me the arched panels and I worked on it, gave him back, and he put it in, situated in the frame. Yeah, very collaborative, yeah.
So when this comes down,
No, it goes into my living room. And I have so right now there's a window in my room and there's one wall that's filled with my older works and there's another wall that's empty now. So hopefully they will go there. And I'm planning to get a storage. Yeah.
planning on getting a phone for that. That's the
yes. Well, think about this, her, I think. Yeah. It'll sit with me for a while, I think. Yeah. But that's a good question because when I think about creating these works, I think about I should be happy to have them in my place. Yeah, I would love them to be in my place. But the reason why I have it in this gallery is because I love them so much. I think others will too. And I hope they find a home. Yeah.
Question as far as that too, you ever thought about, because this is kind of have you ever thought about like, going to like bring individuals that are kind of like-minded like you out here to check out?
Somebody did tell me you should look into like the Beluga nonprofit organization that support them. But I don't really draw much Beluga. But I said, yeah, I can create some works like that. But no, I never thought about that. I should. Yeah. Yeah.
Is there a particular piece in the favorite that you want to
But I do want to point out my self-portraits because they were my last pieces of the collection. It wasn't actually the largest one. This was going to be my final piece, but I was creating this and I realized, like even during this exhibit, people not just want to see the works, but they want to see me. And that was really a game changer because I used to think the works has to be perfect and look nice so people come see it. But I realized they come and see me. Yubi, are you in the gallery? I want to see you. Yubi, are you going to be here because I missed you because of snow? Can I come now? And I realized I'm missing the heart. They're not coming to see that, but me in that, right? So that's why I decided I need to do the self-portraits. And it was hard because I don't know with anybody else, but it's usually hard to see myself in a photo or look in the mirror. But those self-portraits was my time to, stick a photo of me and look at my nose, look at my lips, and dress myself with collage. And because it's about observing, because when I create that figure, I'm looking at that person for a long time. And when you look at that person for a long time, you grow love, I think, towards that person. So they were a vulnerable piece for me. Yeah. It's like, this, like, the pinnacle of this collection is not, oh, she did so much work or it's so beautiful. I think it's, oh, the artwork is me. Yeah. Thank you.
I noticed that I love tassels. So when I met you the day that you were coming in, you actually. So what is your?
The tassel. It is Korean traditional tassel, and it's called norige. And back then, uh, so I don't have it now, but the Korean traditional skirt goes over the dress like this, and they hang it right here. And traditionally, they used to represent the class of the woman, or either they're married, either they're widow, either they're non-married, or if they're in different class, if they're in a uh, wealthy background, they would have different colors with like pearls. Now it's for accessory, like it's like an accessory, and I carry them because I wear the skirt a lot. But I think it's pretty, but it's also kind of sad because that was the only way the woman had to express their class or their what they come from, of their background, of their family, and it's I've never seen anything like that who wears a skirt in different cultures. I might be wrong, but and I wanted to include it somehow. And people are starting to gift it to me. You always wear humble. Wear this. You always wear humble. You should get this. And they always give me tassels. And I thought maybe it could go incorporate in my work somehow. Yeah, that's how it started. Yeah.
A little off topic, but you mentioned earlier that you take time in the morning. Obviously, like, excuse me, religion and art have been intertwined for thousands of years more. Do you find that your religion influences your work, or do you look towards religion, like architecture, to influence your work?
I think as a Christian, being a Christian pushed me more to decide to do what I'm talented of, because I'm created by a creator, and I think the talent that I have, and I saw it with my own eyes, right? Creating this, this is a gift. And even though circumstances, or I might be a poor artist, or I might not succeed, I decided to move on and go to SCAD and change the major and do all this because I think it's a gift that I couldn't decide to have. That means it's divine and powerful. And that's why unconscious comes in, because unconscious is something I can't control. I just do it and it's there. But I think there's an unseen power that's controlling that is not part of me. So religion is kind of like a push engine behind this. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So, what do you hope that people take away from experiencing Secret Underwater Water? And have you ever had, like, are there any stories about like specific experiences you've had with people viewing your art that stand out, or like took it differently than?
I think the most memorable audiences or people who came to see my work is when they see a figure and they see themselves. Because one of the dilemmas that I always have, even still, using my own photographs of a specific person who's alive, is that how are gonna people relate to this face? Because I didn't paint this. It's actual. It's like looking at a magazine. Look at this model. I don't really relate to her. Yeah, but it's fascinating when people see, oh, she looks like my friend next door, or my mom's friend, or it looks like myself. So I realized, even though that audience might not know that figure, we're some kind of connected. And that's why I kept pushing my mixed media photographs, because it's fascinating to hear that. Yeah, you don't know that person, but you see them. When when you meet somebody, it's like, I feel like I saw you, or I think my friend looks like you. Yeah, that was. I think those people are most fascinating and kind of rewarding, because it took me a really long time to decide to do mixed media photography. So it feels rewarded when they see them and see themselves in them, or see somebody that they know, because it connects them. I think that's the power of art. Art is universal. You don't need language. You don't need a definition. It just connects. Yeah. But from this collection, I can't say all the personal parts, but it was not darkest times, but it was a very difficult period of life in my time in terms of relationships and families. That's why I wanted to encounter my sadness. But these artworks were like my tool and my vessel to go through that. I can't say I'm done and powerful. And I wanted to share this because I don't know what everyone is going through, but life has sadness and brings dark underwaters. But I wanted to show and encourage that these are the beautiful gardens that I created for my sadness, and I hope you do too.
Do we have any more questions before we wrap it up or anything? Or any maybe like interpretations that you guys had about Yubi's art that you want her to hear?
I like the lights and stuff.
Fairy light?
Yeah, like something.
The fairy lights was Caleb's idea. Yeah, because he saw me carry the trees like 5 times in here, and I situated, and he was like, "You should get some fairy lights on there." And Adam, who's the guy behind, he was like, "I'll look it up for you on the Home Depot app. You should go get it now. You should go get it now." But I think it added a very ambience, light. No. Yeah.
You should have seen during the art opening, she brought me and Alicia our own handbook. We got to wear it.
They're wearing this, yeah. I wanted them to look like me. Like, are you Yubi? Yeah.
I wanted to say that I'm from South Louisiana, like on the bayou, and the water's obviously a big deal down there. And it was really, really nice to see you talk about more what's underneath, because I'm so used to, the gator that pokes its head up, and then the tree that grows out of the water, and the
Surface.
egret that lands on the surface. So obviously, everyone looks at the water differently, but it was really nice to kind of put on a different pair of glasses and see how other people. I absolutely love it. If you show me a marsh, I'm going to jump in. But maybe one of these, you may not want to. It was really nice to change my glasses and see how other people see water.
Thank you.
All right. If we don't have any more questions, we can kind of mosey around. I don't know. We can just kind of we got some water back. in the back.
Look around.
Feel
Look
free
close to
keep
the work.
asking her questions
Yeah.
too, but
I'll meet them too.
Video.
I know. I felt it.
I just want to make sure.
I didn't put it out. Yeah.
I want to get a picture with you.
Yes.
You take pictures of
Let me turn my phone.
your bike for.